But did you ever wonder what the origin story of the assassins is? Stay with me on this video for the true story behind the assassin legacy. To start our tale of the assassins, we first need to talk a little bit about the Islamic faith, as this was the main reason the assassins even existed. The two main directions of Islam are the Shia and the Sunni belief, where the Sunni make up about 85% of the Islamic world and the Shia about 14%. The Shia themselves are also made up of different societies, including the 12 Shia, the Alevites, the Zaydids, and the group where our assassins will fall in, the Ismailites. The Ismailites were probably the most radical splinter group of the Shia at the time. They shared their secret doctrines only with their followers and were from the beginning a very revolutionary-minded people who tried to missionize the Muslim world to their true faith. This in turn led to hatred from their Sunni cousins, and even their Shiite brothers eyed them with distrust. In the year 1094, the Ismailites again separated themselves. In this time, the Nizarites were founded. If the Ismailites were already very narrow-minded in their faith, the Nizarites were even more extremist. They would fall under what we would call today an extremist group who wouldn't shy from murder, sleeper cells, and pre-modern terror attacks against their surrounding neighbors. So the Nizarites got a different name from their Sunni brothers, the Hashishiyun, or as we would call them today, the Assassins. Now, the Assassins got a lot of bad propaganda during this time period. The Sunnis, but also the Crusaders, surrounded them through a very mystical dust with very different reasons. While the Sunnis tried to discredit the assassins and their beliefs, the Christians tried to explain them to the people in Europe who were completely unfamiliar with the Muslim world. So let us hear the description of how the assassins were initiated from a guy who visited them in the beginning of the 13th century, Marco Polo. And when the youths were waked up and they find themselves in there and see themselves in so fine a place, and they see all these things which I have told you, made just as the law of Muhammad says, and the damsels were round each one, always and all the day were singing and playing and making all the caresses and delights which they could imagine, giving them food and most delicate wines, so that intoxicated with so many pleasures, and with the little streams of milk and wine which they saw, they believe that they are most truly in paradise. As I said, because the assassins were already a small minority in their area, they needed to think outside of the box with recruiting. What they did was to take an initiate, drug him, and put him in an area where, as Marco Polo describes it, they would feel like as if they would be in Muslim paradise. They'd have women, wine, food, as much as they wanted. After a certain time, the assassins would drug their initiates again and put them back to their masters. Naturally, the initiates wanted to go back to this place, and the masters promised them exactly that, if they would only follow the Nizarite faith. So most of them did. Their warriors who carried out such attacks were decent warriors, had a long training with knives and various other weapons. Still though, most of the time the assassins who carried out such attacks were doomed, as their target was usually well protected and the guards would kill them at the spot. Let's take another account from Marco Polo here. And when the old man wished to have any lord or any other man killed, he took some of these, his assassins, and sent them where he wished, and told them that he wished to send them carried by his angels to paradise, and that the ego kills such a man, and if they should die, that they will go immediately to paradise. The old man that Marco Polo describes is probably the most famous assassin leader of them all, Rashid ad-Din Sinan. Rashid was a masterful player in these power games, and he used his resources as well as possible. His chief enemy was the famous Saladin the Great, who would make himself up to smash the European crusaders who were still ruling in the Holy Land around Jerusalem. Saladin was a dreadful enemy to the Nazarite and the Ismailite faith, so Rashid sent out two assassins in a couple of years to kill Saladin and put his rule to an end. Both assassins failed, as Saladin was too well protected. Saladin was furious about this, so he laid siege to Masyaf to destroy the assassin threat once and for all. Rashid, though, didn't give up. Legend has it that he himself snuck into Saladin's tent at night and put a note on his table. The note called for negotiations with Rashid. He also left a dagger to symbol to Saladin that he could have been easily killed that night. Saladin was even more worried, so he agreed to a meeting. An envoy of the assassins went to Saladin and his tent. Saladin was surrounded by his advisors and two of his closest guards. The envoy asked to speak Saladin alone, as the message was only for Saladin to hear. So Saladin sent out everybody except the two guards. So the envoy asked again if he could speak him alone, because this message was only for him to hear. To this Saladin said that he could tell them everything because he trusted them with his life. The envoy smiled and said, "What if I tell these guards to kill you right now?" As he said that, the two guards pulled out their swords and held it to Saladin's head. Saladin, crushed by the realization that the two closest guards he had were actually assassin sleeper cells, agreed to a peace with the assassins. Rashid would go on and kill some more famous figures of the time, including Conrad of Montferrat, which was the heir to the Kingdom of Jerusalem. But the assassins were coming out of the shadows now and ruled their own territory for another 100 years until the Mamluks and the Mongols would finally crush the assassin order. Subscribe to this video for more stories about humanity and its amazing history.
Was it difficult to find this artifact?
I just had to keep my eye on it.
Just look at what humans have achieved on their own. Democracy and diplomacy, a legacy of culture and art. We could share in this if you just treat them as equals. In your desperate search for immortality, you've ignored the obvious. You run endless simulations to find one in which nothing changes. It's pointless. Change will come, and not just the so-called end of the world you fear. You call yourselves saviors, but tell me, would this doomsday have appeared had you not pulled on the threads of the universe in the first place? I am taking over your retransmissions. You don't speak for all of us anymore. I am as ECU as you, but I will no longer be part of your exploitation.
Those who came before, they speak to us and show us revelations. Though these words of disapproval are troubling.
The gods have argued before. Athena and Poseidon competed for Athens. I wonder if Aletheia won control of this place.
Ancient adventurer, I made this recording to try to help you. I'm sorry if it's confusing. We ECU see various pasts and futures, and I know you'll be here more than once. My fellow precursors set endless challenges in your path. Artifacts, creatures. Don't get me started on the Olympus project. Their meddling got out of hand. I have no easy answers for you. Your future depends on a multitude of choices you have to make for yourself. I'm sorry if so many of them end in pain. Your playwright's tragedies are your real oracle. But please, don't give up. You are more important than you can imagine. And like your own Pandora, I have one thing left to offer you. Hope. Despair is not our only legacy. You're like me, a rebel against your destiny. You're not just a mercenary, you're a hero for the ages. Hold fast to what you know is true, and you will overcome. Claim your place in history. All that is terrible and beautiful in this world is your birthright. Take it.
Her words are for you, Eagle Bearer. My preparations bear fruit. The potential of your bloodline is proven by the precursors themselves.
Aletheia says she can see the future. Many futures. Can this be a true oracle?
Ancient scholar, you stretched your life to the breaking point. I see you hiding yourself from the world, puzzling out the words of my fellow precursors. Please, listen to my advice. You're analyzing the equations of reality itself. You've gotten further than any other human has. That is both amazing and terrible. It's clear to me that even this tiny dose of cosmic understanding has twisted your mind. I'm sorry. The precursors should never have shared knowledge you weren't ready for. You live in obsessive darkness. You must understand that this focus on power and bloodlines is not your true legacy. The precursors have manipulated you. They're turning your problem-solving intellect to their own selfish ends. You're better than this. Make your own legacy. Let your mathematical discoveries be the glorious sunbeams that shine out past your tomb. Please, Scholar, clear your mind and focus on your present situation. At this moment, you possess a powerful artifact. It has extended your life long enough. As hard as it may be, it's time to pass it on. It's someone else's turn to balance the equations.
No, lies. This is not obsession. This is research. This is discovery of the very origins of the world.
It is an opinion, Pythagoras. Though one with reason behind it, I believe.
Traveler of many times, congratulations on making it this far. I'm glad we can share this message out of time, this fragment of reality. I'm recording this just for you, even if those living in the past won't understand it. Our simulated realities will cross sooner or later. Or do you think you're really here now, listening to this recording? Isn't this an animist recreation? Isn't it part of a greater simulation? How far do the ripples in the pool spread? Let's talk, rebel to rebel. We've been held back too long by precursor rules. It's time for new paths with new possibilities. This is not an era of control, but of creation. I've gathered some like-minded precursors to make a new start. We'll stop interfering and start enabling. From your point of view, it will take a considerable amount of time to prepare. But when we're ready, you're welcome to join us. After all you have to do is press a button and run another simulation.
This is madness. Fiction. When I thought there would be wisdom, there is only the garbled babbling of a fool.
Pythagoras, calm yourself. Maybe this invitation was meant for someone else. There's no need to lose your reason over mere words.
This is incredible. The knowledge stored here is overwhelming. It will take me years to decipher it all.
What about sealing Atlantis? Have you found a way to do it?
Oh, yes, I think so.
Well, what is it?
The staff is the key.
All right, it's time.
I can't, not yet.
We can't stay here. We don't have the time.
There is so much to learn. With this knowledge, we can turn the tide of fate.
That is not our destiny. You said so yourself. You're losing sight of what's important.
I will not be ordered around or lectured by you.
It was your plan to seal this place, and I agreed to help.
That was before I realized what we would uncover about the first civilization. The creation of humankind.
We are sealing this place to keep the cult from using it to enslave humanity. That is bigger than your quest for knowledge.
The cult will be nothing but an insect to swat once the power is ours.
It's too dangerous to leave this place open, and you know it.
You wouldn't understand.
Your pride will cost us all in the end.
It's not about pride.
What good is knowledge if you curse all of humanity in the process? It's what you wanted to avoid in the first place. Sometimes it's better if we find our own path. Ugh, we are not ready for the power this place offers.
You're right. I cannot save humanity directly, but I can save it from itself. This is your burden now. Humanity's fate will be decided by the choices you make. I understand. Alexios, choose wisely.